Alright, so for our template design project, we made a big budgeting spreadsheet that's designed to go over income and expenses in depth for a given year, do some analysis on where those expenses are coming from, take into account a couple of specific scenarios that could mix things up. We have an income expense lookup. We have a grocery budget as a component of our budgeting, and then some raw data, but we'll get into all of that in a second. To start, we have a couple categories of income or expenses. So we have income sources, fixed expenses, tier one expenses, which are like priority expenses, and then tier two expenses, which are more of wants. And then down here, we have a sum of all of the expenses, our budget surplus or deficit for the month, and then a running total going, which pops out our end value, which is the amount of money we're going to have when it's all said and done. Over here, you can see we have some bar charts that break down our total fixed expenses, tier one expenses, and tier two expenses over the course of the whole year. But if you want to go more in depth, so say I want to look at like January rent utilities, that makes up 9.01% of our expenses in January. And we just used index match for this. And then as you can see, if I select September instead of January, it's going to change that in here because of that concat function. And same thing with tier 1 and tier 2. Another thing to note, this is conditionally formatted to pop out as red, yellow, or green. Same thing with our bars over here and some of our data in the table. Down here we have a couple of scenarios that could happen. So if you got in a car crash, it's going to increase your vehicle maintenance in August from 0 to 2,000. Say because of that you don't want to dine out as much in September, so it goes from 150 to 0. And then say in this scenario you get a big bonus, you make 4,000 instead of 2,000 from your wages and internships in August, and then you spend double on dining out in September to celebrate. We have that illustrated over here in a scenario summary. So as you can see, your in value is a lot less when you have the car crash, a lot more when you have the big bonus. So that's just kind of representative of life. So for our income expense lookup, say you want to look up a certain expense. So like our car payment for October, it's $350. So if you just want to look up a certain value from the total budgeting, it's good for that. Same thing with groceries. Bananas cost per week's $2.94. Same thing with income. And then for the grocery budget over here, we just have a bunch of food items, the amount needed or servings per week, the price per unit, and then our just amount, cost per week, and then cost per month, which is that times 4. It just pops out a total value here, which we actually use in the total budget sheet. Right up here, we plug that in. And then just raw data. But that's about it. We really enjoyed making this, and hopefully you enjoyed learning some more about it.